Well, hey guys, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today is a fun day because we have a guest on the pod with us today. We have Neha Dias today. Do you want to say hey?
Hey.
She said, hi. Well, I'm super excited to have you on, Neha. We were just chatting before we started recording, and I was telling you, I'm so pumped to have you on because you are fitness guru, queen, confidence, everything. You eat healthy. You try to be healthy. I need to take a page out of your notebook. So I'm really excited to kind of join or have everybody join in on this conversation because I think it's one where it's not just for photographers. If you're a photographer, it's going to be great. If you're not a photographer, it's also going to be really great. It's just a human kind of conversation. So let's start with this. Before I go too far deep and they're like, wait, but I don't even know who she is yet. Tell us who you are. Tell us all about your life and just, introduce yourself.
Okay, sure. Well, like you said, I'm Neha and I do work in the fitness space. I grew up as a competitive figure skater, so kind of always been in the athletic side of things. And skated in college. And then kind of where I moved into the fitness space was when I was in college. I had a really traumatic brain injury and it kind of flipped my world upside down. I was always so active, so athletic, so healthy. And then I was in and out of the hospital all the time. I had really bad side effects from the concussion and the brain injury. And so I kind of got into fitness as a way to prove to myself that I was still capable of doing things. And the really cool thing about the gym is if whatever you're putting into it is what it gives back to you. So it was kind of a way to empower myself. After kind of losing my identity when I couldn't skate to the same level that I used to skate and compete before.
Wow.
And then as I was going through that process, close friends or maybe even acquaintances would send me DMs on Instagram and be when you post your workouts, it's super helpful or this has been really inspiring. And so I remember being okay, well, if this is helping people, I'll just make a little page for it. Not really thinking it was going to go anywhere. It was more to document it for myself and for the couple of friends that were can you post that workout again? It look you slayed. And I started posting, and the more that I was posting, the more I was realizing that I was able to make an impact. And I really loved that aspect of it, just being able to help other people. I had a little bit of I don't want to say a glitch isn't the right word, but I don't know. We'll figure out a word for it. Talk about it. So I was posting, and it was right when TikTok had started becoming bigger, and Instagram was not, I would say, as big of a space for the fitness industry. But I'd started posting then and gaining traction. And this right after college, I got into a relationship that ended up being super abusive, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of the ways. And the guy that I was with basically made me delete my TikTok account, even though it was growing and doing really well. I wasn't allowed to post workouts. I wasn't allowed to post in workout clothes. Wasn't allowed to go to certain gyms, basically controlled all of those aspects of my life besides other issues going on in that relationship, really affected my social media career at that time. So I did have to basically start from scratch again when I finally got out of that relationship. But I honestly think it saved my life in a way because it gave me something to pour into. And then I could also share that side of my journey. And honestly, I think that the main reason I talk about confidence and the gym to women so much is because I know what it feels like to not know yourself and be a shell of a person, and developing that confidence. For me, the gym was the vehicle, if that makes sense, to develop my own confidence back. By developing that confidence back, I think that's literally the only reason I'm still alive, and the only reason that I fully got out of that relationship and left it was because I started to become more confident in myself and know the lies that he was telling me about myself were not true. And I know he doesn't know who I am. And so that is really why it's so important to me and why I am so passionate about sharing how the gym can make you a more confident person. Like, it's not always about the aesthetics. I mean, obviously everyone wants to like have a skinny waist and a big butt and like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, developing your confidence in the gym is so much more than just like how you look. It's like also how you feel inside.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I didn't know your story like that. This is like really cool to hear. I feel like, first of all, thank you for your vulnerability, because I think like there are going to be so many people listening to this who hear your story, and people who follow you who hear your story, and they are going to feel seen, and they're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in that position and I have a way to get out because I'm listening to this. So first of all, thank you. Second of all, what a cool story that you have. Like, obviously there's parts, I think, of our story as we like live life and experience hardship where like they become part of your story and you're like, wait, I hate that this is part of my story. Like, I hate that this is here right now. But then the cool thing about it is that we are able to flip it and help other people through it. So I think it's cool that you see that on this side of it. You're like, no, I get to help people because I lived through these things. Right. But I do want to talk about your figure skating thing for a second, because like, that's just really cool. I just went on a cruise. Okay, guys, I was telling Neha right before this, but if you're watching on YouTube, I literally have this massive scar on my nose right now. And it's actually a lot smaller, Neha. Like, it has gone down so much because I've been on antibiotics for it. Yeah. But I went on a cruise and I got a staph infection on my nose, which is just the most like me thing ever. I like, seriously, like, goes on a cruise, thinks she's celebrating her birthday, comes home with a staph infection. Sorry. Anyway, all that to say, went on a cruise and they had an ice skating rink on the cruise.
Wait, what?
And
cruise line was it?
It was Royal Caribbean.
Yeah. Okay.
You're like, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, it was so crazy. I didn't actually go ice skating, but I went and saw one of the ice skating shows and I was like baffled. Like, first of all, figure skating, crazy, like so much talent, but they were on a moving boat doing all of this. I'm like, how are you doing this? So nuts. So, okay, tell me how you got into that just in the beginning.
Yeah. This is actually kind of a funny story. So my family moved around a lot when I was younger. And so when I was like 4 or 5, my parents moved to Houston, Texas. And they were kind of close to downtown, but there's not a ton to do with a 5-year-old in downtown Houston, Texas. So my mom was like, okay, there's a mall that has an ice rink. So naturally, I'm going to sign Neha up to get ice skating lessons to get her energy out. And then I'm going to go shopping. What she didn't know was because of that, it was going to become the most expensive monthly expense for my parents for 18 years. But that was kind of how I started. She just like put me in lessons to like get my energy out. I was like one of those super hyperactive kids. And I like fell in love with it and was like, yeah, so this is what I'm going to do now.
That's crazy. Yeah, honestly, I could never. I come off the rink with a staph infection, honestly. Like, no. I'd be falling everywhere or nothing. But I just think that's such a cool, like I said, going back to your story, I really think it's so cool how like, you know, an opportunity was put in front of you and you just took it over and over again, you know? So I really love that. But let's kind of move on. I want to talk a little bit. Well, actually, before we do, I want to talk about confidence. But before we do that, I do want to talk about how did you start getting into like coaching rather than just posting about like fitness stuff online?
Yeah. So I feel like when in the fitness space right now, there's a lot of advice that comes from like everywhere and it's kind of a lot. And so I knew when I was posting fitness content, like until I was like really ready to be like a coach, I didn't want to just be like posting a bunch of content that like, I feel like is almost at a point, it's like noise, like it's too much. So I started out just like posting like my workouts and like what I eat, but like specifically saying like, this is what I do. It works for me. I'm here to inspire you, but I'm not saying if you do exactly what I do, you're going to do like your body's going to react the exact same way.
Yeah.
I definitely started getting like some messages that were like, oh, like I want to know more about like your eating, or like I want to know specifically what you eat in a day, or like specifically what you work out. And I used to like know like, okay, there is a space for me like to get into coaching. And I know that like people would like that, but I want to make sure that I'm in a really good place with myself first. And like with what I'm like with my, I guess like knowledge of the fitness industry and my knowledge of food. And, so I think that like I really did wait 2 to 3 years probably 2 years from when I like started posting fitness content, like the second time after the relationship, to get into coaching, even though I knew the whole time that that was what I wanted to do. And then in December of last year, a company reached out to me, and it's called Leanest Health. And they basically developed an app for coaches to use, I guess, like to have clients on, if that makes sense. Like it's a platform, and then I can like customize it to make it my own. So they reached out in December, and we're like, hey, we would love to have you as a coach on our platform. And it's really interesting how God works, I think, because like I feel like there were times before that I would be like, oh, I think I would like to get into coaching, but like it's just like not the right time yet. Like it's not there yet. And I would pray over it. And like I remember like maybe a week before they reached out where I felt like I was like, okay, I think that like I'm ready now. I think I could do this now. Like now I'm just gonna sit and wait for like God to put the opportunity in front of me, basically. Like I was like, I'm not going to like force it, but like when it's the right time, it'll come. And then literally a week later, they DM me on Instagram, and they were like,
interesting
to have you as a coach. And so I did some research like into them. I researched some other companies. I wanted to make sure I was using like the best platform for me and for like the clients that I was looking to coach. And I think like some of the coolest things about the specific platform that I use for coaching is that it's all through like one app, which I really like, because then for clients, it's like easy. It's just in one place on your phone. Your workouts are there, your meals are there, everything's in there. And they have a lot of like functions that are not just like, it's not like you just go in the app and it's like, okay, here's your workouts for the week. Here's your chicken, rice, and broccoli for the week. Like, have a good time. It like has a really creative variety of recipes. I can add my own recipes. It creates grocery lists for my clients. So like they can basically say like, I want to eat this meal 4 times this week, and it'll tell them exactly what groceries to get. It can track like their water, steps. If they want to like track specific wellness habits, they can track it in there as well. So I just thought like
that's really cool.
Really well-rounded and like more like holistic, like wellness versus just like, here's your workout plan kind of app. And so that's kind of how I ended up getting into coaching, was like working through them. And I kind of created it like based on what I wanted my clients to have access to in the app, and like how I wanted it structured. My whole app is like pink. So like I thought it was really cool that I could like make it kind of my own.
Yeah. I think it's cool too. It sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like the things you were looking for in it, yes, they're holistic, but also I think they're really empowering. Like when you give do you call them clients?
Yeah.
So when you give your clients like all of these different tools in their hands, and you're right, it's not just like, here's the workout to do this week. You know, it's like, here are all of these like really cool, fun things that you get to dive into. They do feel empowered. And I think with empowerment comes confidence. And so I think it's cool that like, even from the very beginning of you like wanting to be a coach, looking at being a coach, all of that kind of stuff, it had to do with like fueling confidence for your clients. So I love that. Okay. So let's peel back the layers a little bit. What do you feel like confidence means to you beyond just like appearance and really what you said before, like the, you know, a little snatched waist or whatever? Like, what does confidence mean?
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier because I was like prepping for this, and I was like, okay, like what does confidence mean to me? Like when I'm like saying that to someone, and I feel like, it's not how you look, it's what you're willing to accept for yourself. If that makes sense. I feel like as you become a confident person, you know, like what you want out of your life, and you know whether something is either going to match what you want out of your life or if it's not going to match, and you're okay saying no to the things that aren't going to match because you are strong enough in who you are to know that the right opportunity, right door, right person, whatever it is going to come along. So I feel like it's like having like trust in yourself almost.
Yeah, that's really cool. I don't think that's what I would have defined confidence as. And so I think it's cool to like ingest that for a second. I'm like, okay, hold on. That's really cool. I like had to think about it for a second, but I think it's cool because it has nothing to do with what you look like. Like everything you just said has to do with literally, like you said, like trusting yourself, trusting your gut, and trusting like, not if your gut's unhealthy, I guess, but, but you know, like coming to a place of being healthy from the inside so that you can trust your gut in some ways, you know?
I always said to like my friends and even my like clients too, I'm like, hot is a mindset. Okay. Like, let's just get that straight. everyone is hot. You just have to believe that you're hot. And when you think you're hot, then you're hot. But if you're like walking around being like, I don't really like, like it's like all the energy from within. So
yeah. Insecurity is such a thief, because I have so many friends who are so beautiful and like they talk to themselves like they are so not. And I'm like, what the heck? You're gorgeous, or so many clients all the time that I take pictures of, who like aren't feeling hot, to use your terms, and I'm like, no, you're so beautiful, and like speak that over them. And it's cool to see like from the beginning of a session to the end of a session, how they feel it in a different way because they have somebody like claiming it over them. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. Well, I'm sure that you're going to talk through like some of those pieces in your story as we ask this next question, but was there ever a time where you really feel like you struggled with confidence, and then how did you work through that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like everyone does. I feel like, especially for girls, like I feel like everyone goes through like that high school phase where they're like, I have no idea why my body's growing this way. I don't know myself in the mirror anymore. Like everyone goes through that phase of confidence. I feel like my biggest confidence shift was probably like when I was getting out of my last relationship, because I was in a place where I feel like I didn't even recognize myself. And I thought going into the relationship, I thought I was a confident person. Looking back, I don't think I was. I think I was faking it. Like I didn't actually like know what confidence was. I thought I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty, I'm smart, like that surface level confidence, but I didn't like truly know myself. But at like the end of my last relationship, I like didn't know who I was. I was constantly being told really horrible things about myself, and I believed them to be true for like a very long time. And one of my friends, sorry, I'm like trying to figure out the best way to articulate. One of my friends basically told me like, you need to start talking to yourself as the person you want to be and not the person that you think you are right now. That's great, and right? I think that was like specifically for where I was in that relationship, because I was constantly being told these horrible things about myself. But I do think like even now, sometimes if I like feel like I'm struggling with my confidence, I do tell myself those same things. Even at that point, like, okay, talk to yourself as the person you want to be and maybe not the person that you think you are right now, even though the person you think you are right now is great. And so like starting to talk to myself as like the version of myself that I wanted to be, was a really big change for me. So instead of, thinking, trying to like not just specifically like, talk about someone that's like in an abusive relationship, like instead of thinking like, oh, I don't look that pretty today, like talking to myself and being like, oh, you woke up looking so healthy, or like you woke up like you got a good night's sleep, or like you're so glowy, or like whatever it is, and starting to talk to myself as the person that I like wanted to be, and just like being grateful for how far I was progressing each day, I think was like one of the biggest changes for my confidence at that time.
Yeah. I like the idea of like tracking your progress. And I think like in the workout world, you can do that pretty easily, right? Because you can easily see when you begin to get stronger and stuff like that. You can remember, but even just like mentally and emotionally tracking your progress when you're going through something like that, I think is such a like cool thing to remember. Like, I don't know. I think it's cool. I've talked about this on the podcast a couple of times, but I journal a lot. I journal every morning. It's how I pray. So I'll literally like write out, "Dear God," and then like the rest of my prayer. And I've done that since I was in 4th grade. So it's really cool because I'm able to like literally track my progress from 4th grade to now as I'm about to turn 30. But like I can see the ups and downs of me emotionally or in confidence or in so many different areas. But I think it is like such a cool thing. And not everybody obviously has that. But even if it's like tracking your progress mentally and taking a mental note once a month of yourself of like, where am I at? How have I talked to myself recently? Like, what have I said to myself in the mirror recently? Stuff like that. But I love that you also said like talking to yourself well and combating those things. Like, I think that's a biblical thing too. Like in the Bible, it talks about take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. I think it's 2 Corinthians something 10. 12:10 maybe? Could be wrong. I don't know. But no, I think it's 10:5 now that I say that. Anyway, all that to say, what matters is take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. And when it comes to like our appearances, especially, I think that's such an important verse, like taking captive the thoughts that speak down upon yourself. If God created you, then you're beautiful and he did create you. And so like really speaking life of yourself, because when you insult yourself, you're insulting the God who created you too, you know?
That all the time.
Do you really? It's such a like,
not like too much, like I'm not like sitting there like telling myself that, but like I do, like when I have like negative thoughts about like my appearance or things that are like so surface level almost, I want to say, like in this world, I literally tell myself that. Or like tell myself that like God would never want you to be a different version of yourself, or like God would not want you to be someone else. He wants you to be exactly who you are.
Yeah. And I think it's hard. Sometimes we compare and desire to the beauty standards of our culture and around us. But like, God's like, I'm actually the ultimate beauty standard and you're doing great. Like, it's fine. But I have friends too. And I know this is kind of getting off topic a little bit, but I have friends who will kind of begin like their journey of working out. And one of them in my small group was talking about, she's like, I just want to be skinny. I just want to be skinny. And we were like, no, you want to be healthy. Mm-hmm. You want to be healthy. And like that, like again, with the beauty standard, like obviously there are things that are unhealthy and that is not like Christ-like or godly to like walk into either. But when you're chasing after health, then that's great. Like you're doing great. We don't have to be skinny to be healthy. You know what I mean? Like they're not the same kind of things, but
they're not the same.
I love that. Okay. Well, obviously you kind of answered this a little bit, but what would you say to somebody who's currently struggling with confidence or comparing themselves to others?
I feel like, okay, there's two things. So for confidence, I feel like, yeah, like the one thing I do tell my friends or like, even like the kids that I work with sometimes at school and they will like bring things up is that like God created you and you're perfect as you are. So no, you don't need blank that you just tried to ask me if you needed to get. No, you don't need to get it. But at the same time, it's okay to like want more for yourself, if that makes sense. Like wanting to work out and become more fit or more whatever, or like become a healthier version of yourself. Like that's not saying that you hate the version you are now. Right. You have to like love yourself in the version that you are now. And then also love yourself so much that you want to be better. And so like through that, you're becoming a better person, but like you can't hate yourself as you are now and think that when you become blank version of yourself, you're going to be happy. I think like that's one thing that especially in the fitness industry or just in general, like people will be like, oh, when I'm skinnier, I'll be happy. Or like when I'm blank, I'll be better. Or like whatever it is. Like if you're unhappy with yourself in the version you are today and you're not talking to yourself as someone that you love, then even when you achieve blank, whatever it is that you think you're going to achieve, you're still not going to be happy with yourself because you weren't confident in that first version.
Yeah.
And then I think also with like comparing yourself to other people, that one's hard because it is like, I feel like it's not good to compare yourself, but at the same time, I think that like jealousy is not always like a negative thing, or like wanting something that you don't have yet is not always a negative thing. It just means that you have a desire. So like flipping it from being like, oh, I wish that I was like, I wish I had a 6-pack like her, or like comparing yourself like that, or being like her like legs look so much stronger than mine. It's not like a negative thing in that sense. It just means that you want that. And if you want that, that means you can achieve it, because if she achieved it, you can achieve it. So kind of like flipping the switch from like comparing yourself to someone to being like, okay, if she can achieve it, I can achieve it as well. Like we can both have great 6-packs.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Like there's a positive side to it too. I think the difference is going back to what you said before, like how you speak about it, how you speak to yourself about it, like, or what you do with your lack, because right now you might be lacking in that area. However, you're comparing yourself. Maybe it has nothing to do with your physique. Maybe it has everything to do with like, I don't know, home decor. Like, I don't, just like a random thing, but like, that's one for me. Like on my like algorithm, I'll be scrolling and it's all those like, renovation things. And I'm here in an apartment and don't have a house yet. And like, that can be an easy one for me to trip up on. But like, what do I do in my lack? How do I respond to that? How do I speak about it? And that's really what defines, am I jealous or if it's just a desire in my life, And like, if it is a desire, what are the goals that I'm doing to be able to get that in my life? And I love also that you talked about like, it's not putting like your happiness or like the weight of your happiness in it or the weight of your joy. Like you got to figure out how to be happy on the journey too. But also like you're on a journey and it's really cool. So, one of the things, like, I know this kind of almost, I don't want to say it contradicts that question, but how has fitness helped your confidence outside of the gym?
I feel like besides like just feeling healthy and strong, it just like helps empower you to know that you can achieve your goals, because I feel like the gym is somewhere where like you set a goal and you put the effort in and you take the steps and you will achieve the goal. And when you are able to like show yourself that you have the discipline to achieve something that you set for yourself, it shows you that you can also achieve those same things in other aspects of your life as well. And so I feel like for me, especially from like the stage of my life that I was in when I like started getting back into fitness, it was proving to myself that like, okay, I set a goal, I set a timeline, I am capable of achieving it, and then being able to like move into other aspects of my life and have that same confidence that like, if I set a goal for something else, like I will be able to achieve it. And that is something that my friends have even said to me is like, Neha, we feel like when you like, you'll like be doing something and you just like get an idea in your head and then you're like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then like 6 months, and we don't really hear anything of it. And then 6 months later you do it. And it's like, yeah, because I feel like I'm so confident enough to know that when I have a thought, I can set it as a goal and then I can like divide that into mini goals and then I know I'm going to achieve it because I've like replicated the whole process over and over in the gym.
That's cool. So. Yeah, that's interesting. It does like, it's such a good analogy for literally everything. I feel like the gym is always like, oh yeah, this thing in life is like when you go to the gym, like there's always like an analogy that you can play with it. But I love that you brought up your friends. What do you think? One of the biggest like values and like kind of pillars in my life and in my business is community. So what do you think like your role for your community has been in like the journey of confidence, and how do they support you, or even like your current relationship too? Like how do they support you through all this?
Yeah, I feel like, well, okay, so I feel like this is like kind of, I might have to go like step back for a second, but I feel like, well, everyone has like that question, like, okay, what's my purpose? Like, why am I here? Why did God put me here? And I feel like I've always known from a young age that my purpose was to inspire others and like share my story to inspire others. And I think someone once told me like God puts mountains in front of people sometimes just to prove that they can be moved. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like that has been like my purpose in life, for a lot of my life. And so my role, I've always felt in my community of friends is like, I've always noticed that as I like talk about like maybe what I've been through or like what I'm doing or like the gym or like whatever it is, that I have like inspired some of my friends. I don't want to like say that like as I'm like, as if I'm like getting my head full, but like I'll notice with my friends, like, that they'll come to me and be like, oh, like we saw that you did this and we thought that was cool. So like we tried it. And I've always just felt like I'm getting sidetracked. You might have to cut this out.
No, I love this. No, you're good. No, I totally get what you're saying. And you're like, I don't want to come off arrogant, but it's a beautiful thing to inspire friends. That's what's so cool. Like, about being in friendships with people is like the Bible talks about, it's mutually encouraging. Like I can encourage you, you can encourage me, and like things that you're good at, I'm bad at and I need to grow in those and I want to learn from you, and then opposite things that I'm really good at. You might be like, yeah, I suck at that, like, and I need to get better at it. And like, it's so cool that we can be in community and be in friends that like do encourage us in that way. So I think it's awesome that you're inspiring. Like, I think that's great. Okay. So what are some like small habits or shifts that you feel like have made a difference or like the biggest difference in your confidence specifically?
How I talk to myself, because I think something that I had to learn the hard way kind of is that like the thoughts that other people tell you or the thoughts that you tell yourself is what creates the reality of the world you live in. Like, you can create really any reality for yourself based on how you speak to yourself. And so one thing that has really changed my confidence is how I talk to myself, especially in cases where it's like I'm struggling, or like, you know, maybe like a door closed that I thought was going to be like a great opportunity for me, or like in times where like I'm having a lot of anxiety, just like really talking to myself kindly as someone that I love. And I think sometimes we are so hard on ourselves, and it's because we tell ourselves, oh, we're hard on ourselves because we want more for ourselves or whatever it is. But sometimes like taking a step back and like thinking about like either your partner or your best friend or someone that you like really have a soft spot for in your heart, and like think, would I talk to that person the way that I'm talking to myself right now? Like, would I say those things to them? And if the answer is no, well, you probably shouldn't be talking to yourself like that either. And so like changing the narrative and like talking to yourself as someone that like you would never want to hurt, that you would never like want to be mean to, has been like a really big change for me. And also like kind of along with that, I feel like gratitude. I like have like the 5-minute journal. I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah.
You basically wake up and you write like 3 things that you're grateful for. And I've just noticed that like starting my day with that is like life changing, because I feel like you wake up and you go about your day and there's so many things that go wrong, and there's so many things that like you're consuming from like social media and the internet and everything. And it's like, it's so easy to compare your life to like someone else's when really you only know someone else's highlight reel.
Right.
And so it's so easy to be like, oh my God, everything sucks for me. And like, look at blank person from high school, like they're doing great and like all of these things, but really you don't actually know like how they're really doing. They might also be having a bad day, you know? But starting my day with gratitude and being grateful for what I have, so that I can be confident in what's coming for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really, really good. On the flip side, what do you think are some things that maybe we often do, or you see people often do, maybe they're your clients or just your friends in general, that like people think will fuel confidence, but really it doesn't?
Yeah. That's a good question. I feel like something that I personally have also had to like rewire my brain out of, because I grew up in such a competitive sport, which like figure skating, I don't know if you've ever seen Ice Princess, but like that movie is like real. Like girls are really mean to each other in figure skating. So like growing up, I feel like my brain kind of developed like, oh, you have to be better than everyone else. You have to be like better than the person next to you to be the most successful. And something that I've had to rewire my brain from is not feeling like I need to be the best, if that makes sense. I feel like people think like when they like set a goal to be the best salesperson in their company or the best blank in their company or whatever it is, like that will give them the confidence when they get that number one. But I think that like actually putting yourself in a position where other people have to be put down for you to feel like you're at the top is actually not confidence. It's like coming out of insecurity. And the way to be confident in something like that is like, you want to be the best version of yourself in that position. You want to be a better salesperson than last year. You want to be a better athlete than last year, but you don't have to be better than someone else. There's ample space for everyone to be the best version of themselves. And when you like approach, sorry, there's like a, okay. When you approach confidence from like that perspective, I feel like it's more, shoot, I had a word and then I like completely forgot it.
It's better.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
You're coming from a space of like, you're not coming from a space of scarcity. You're coming from a place where it's like, there's enough for everyone and everyone can do this together. And I feel like that gets rid of like the insecurity aspect and just like kind of puts you in a place where you are confident in yourself and you're confident in like what you have to offer.
Yeah, that's really good. I've also seen like, it reminded me as you were talking about this, but I've also seen where people put kind of stock in their confidence and maybe like their follower count or their client base or whatever it is, especially as photographers or people who are, you know, influencing or online a lot. And I think like it's such an interesting thing because I've also seen where people deal with their confidence or I guess insecurity, and they deal with a lack of confidence. And then they get the followers, the thing that they expect will give them the boost of confidence. But with that comes a lot of hate and negativity too. And then there's also the feeling of like, you've got to stay on top too. Like now I'm on top and I need to stay on top. And so I've seen where like that has been to like, some of my friends like detriments at the same time. And they've had to like work on their lack of confidence on a higher scale now. Before, I wish that maybe they would have worked on it a little bit more pre all of those things, you know, because then like you could have that big moment and blow up and it be like really exciting instead of it being like, oh my gosh, I really need to figure out like my soul right now. Like what is happening to myself, you know?
Yeah.
So I definitely love that. Okay. What is like last question before we go into rapid fire fun? What is one thing about your self-worth or your confidence that you feel like, man, I really wish I would have known this one thing a long time ago?
I think the biggest thing for me is like kind of, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but like there's space for everyone to be great. I think like growing up in a sport where like, if you like, you had to be like, so like, I have to be at the top, I have to be the best, I have to be better than blank and blank, put me in a place where like, I always felt like for a very long time, like even in school, I was like, oh, she got a higher grade than me, or like, or, you know, like whatever it is. It's like, why does that matter? Two people can get a 99 on a, like on an assignment and it doesn't affect you at all. Yeah. And like things like that, where it was like always feeling like the need to like be better than someone else versus the need to be better than a previous version of me. And when really I like switched it to being like a previous version of me, then not only was I like no longer coming again from like that like scarcity mindset of like my confidence, but I also feel like I could become like, I could like take knowledge from other people and I could share my knowledge with other people and not be like competitive in it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And I think I see that a lot in our industry too, where like as photographers, we'll kind of keep things to our chest because we're nervous that other people will find out. And I'm like, no, let's just rip off the Band-Aid. Here's my whole life, you know, but like we want other people to grow and there's space for all of us, you know, and same for you in your fitness industry. Like you want people to grow because there's space for all of us. Everyone wants to be healthy. There's 1,005,000 people in the world. That's not right. What is it? Like 7 billion? But anyway, there's a lot of people in the world, you know, and like there's clients enough all for all of us. Okay. I want to ask you some like rapid fire fun questions. Are you ready? Yes. Should we take a deep breath? Yes. Here we go. Okay. Ready? Yes. Favorite song in the gym right now?
Fergalicious.
No way.
I don't have any shame.
Wait, that was just so not what I expected. Okay, go to high protein snack.
Chicken nuggets.
Oh, from Chick-fil-A.
I don't know if those count as a high protein. I mean, if you eat enough of them, they are. No, like the Dino chicken nuggets, like the frozen Tyson.
Wait, yes. Wait, are you gluten-free?
No.
Okay, I eat gluten-free Dino nuggets like every day for lunch.
That was what I ate on my wedding night.
Really?
Yes. Well, I have a food allergy, so like I couldn't eat my catering at my wedding. So my parents had brought me a plate of Dino chicken nuggets. It was great. Best
100%. That sounds like a story from my book. So I'm obsessed with that. Okay. One wellness trend that you're loving right now.
10K steps every day.
Ooh, that's hard.
Especially
okay. One trend that you're not loving right now.
Any sort of skinny tea, bro. Don't even get me started.
You're like, I can't right now. Okay. Dream brand to collab with.
Gymshark.
Ooh, that would be a good one. Something people would be surprised to learn about you. That's a hard one. It's a hard one for it to be rapid fire.
You can drive a truck and back it into a Walmart dock.
I would be surprised to learn that about you.
Not like,
how do you know that?
Like a full big truck.
Wait, how do you know that for real? I want to know.
My first job out of college, I managed truck drivers, and when they called off, I would have to drive their truck at 1 a.m.
Okay, that's kind of crazy and kind of awesome. Okay, that's a great one to end it on. How can people find you? Where can they follow you to learn more about your journey, to maybe become a client of yours, all the things?
Instagram and TikTok. I'm definitely more fitness on Instagram, and TikTok is more just like funny life videos. And then all of my like website links and everything are in my bio.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Well, as we end out, is there one piece of advice that you could leave people with? Don't say follow your dreams.
Remember that God made you, and talk to yourself like someone that God made.
That's a good one to end on. Okay. Well, Neha, it was so good to have you. I'm so excited. And if you're listening to this, I hope that you know God made you and that he loves you and that you should talk to yourself better. Okay. Love you guys. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. Bye.